factory built aquarium versus DIY aquarium built state. Hi everybody, welcome again to another episode of Fish Keeping Jamaica. Welcome to my channel. My name is Raleigh. I deal with ornamental fish keeping, fish care, breeding, keeping and trading, tilapia breeding, keeping, trading, and also the building of aquariums and several DIY projects. Okay, so this is a 58 point, I think it's 6 gallon, I will run it off to 60 gallon long aquarium, right? In the last video I did, I shared with you that this glass at the back is black, right? But it is tinted. It was cut, the glass was cut, and it was taken to a tinting specialist where he applied the tint to it. I don't know how to do that, and I'm not gonna try. Right? Because all of this here, guys, business, and I don't have the time to, prolong any possibilities of error. All right, so today we're talking about the whole idea of custom built versus factory aquarium, right? When I say custom build, I mean DIY also. Now I use I call it silicone, 100% clear silicone, and I've shared with you the different type already, right? It's something similar to this. This is the one in which I use for this aquarium, right, guys? Right, this is the silicone I use. It's similar silicone to the one that is used in my carport to seal the edges and my windows in which I have on my house. Alright, so I built this aquarium for a client who desired to have another aquarium. I think it's 10 inches shorter than the one in which I did before. The other one was 81 point something gallon long, right? Okay, so why is it that I'm comparing the factory versus DIY or custom build? Okay, so first and foremost, I spoke to someone the other day regarding building of aquarium. He said that he likes the idea and he would like one for his living room. However, he doesn't want anywhere in which the silicone is actually showing on the outside. He says that it doesn't look aesthetic pleasing to him. He wants it to be factory built. And I shared this with him just as I'm going to be sharing with you now. Factory built aquariums are not. And I'm from Jamaica, guys, and this is a video that has been shot on location in Jamaica. Factory built aquariums are imported in Jamaica. The fact that they are imported in Jamaica adds to the costing for those aquariums, right? So they will be built somewhere in the world, whether it be United States or Canada or wherever. That will be packaged and shipped, and retailers will actually add their their cost into it, and they will trade it accordingly, right? So it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So custom built aquariums, I did a video on that a few years ago in which I shared with you that custom built aquariums are one of the hardest aquariums to repair. Now all of this, right, have been sealed. See all those white things going around the side? Yeah, that is silicone, right, guys? So silicone is added to the side here, putting the glass together. So it is in between the two glasses, right, guys? And also silicone is added along the seams. And so in two ways, the aquarium is actually sealed. And so whenever an aquarium like this is leaking, it simply means that the person who actually placed it together did some error, because whilst the here might be leaking at the side, right, for the factory built, there's no buffer here to protect water from coming out. Put another way, for custom built aquariums to be leaking, right, guys, there has to be a hole that spans from the inside to the outside. Now this, I'm not saying that it's impossible, because I've had aquariums in which I do have
leakage, right? And those leakage are for several different reasons, and I can share a few more than likely by the end of this video. Now, for my aquarium that I built, I like the aquarium to have, that is inside of the aquarium, to have the silicone along the glass, right? The corners have more silicone than the sidings, because the corners of the aquarium holds more pressure than the siding, right? And so these should be more more I call it now, enforced with silicone, so as to ensure that leakage doesn't occur. Once the sidings, I mean like here, is compromised, meaning that it's not built properly, you run the risk of the entire aquarium actually collapsing over on that side, right? The weakest section of an aquarium is the front section, because what happened is that the most of the stuff that you placed on your aquarium, guys, well, most of the stuff that you place in your aquarium, right, it tends to be at the back. And if you got the physics of it, the front can kind of have a more I don't know how to explain this to you, but the front glass, should I say the front glass or the two side glass is more prone to breakage than, let's say, that side and that side. And it all has to do with the pressure of the water, meaning that for every every inch going to the left or the right of the aquarium, the aquarium glass loses strength. And so this glass here is a shorter glass, guys, has more strength than the tall glass here. So imagine the volume of water is coming up, and that's one of the reasons why I don't go beyond 20 inches, and I shared that with you in a video before, that the higher you go is the more susceptible the front glass, and even the back glass, more than that, the front glass is to actually collapse and break. I had that experience already, and I filmed it. Alright, so here you have an aquarium built, right, guys, using silicone. Now the silicone is like an opportunity for the glass. For example, this glass, I don't know how this little niche end up right here, but let's say that you have this right here. What the silicone will do is go inside and form like a gasket, right? And it will prevent the leakage if it was on the other side, right? Now, for factory built aquariums, right, they use a different process in sealing the glass together. It's similar to that in which they use for the sealing of the. You have factories, they have their pristine precision machine that actually distribute silicones at the edge of the aquarium, right? And the glass is actually placed within that space, and excess that is squeezed out at the side is actually taken up through a specific mechanism. As a result of that, you don't find any silicones at the side of the aquarium. That means any leakage that is occurring must be occurring at the where the glass actually join. So the water itself is being prevented from going under as a result of this chemical. Now, as a result of my using the DIY process, using silicone, where you find that you have sealants, that's the silicone on the inside, and you have silicones at the siding. So if for example there's some air hole at the siding here, right, guys, the sealing that is inside of the aquarium here will prevent that air hole from releasing, causing any leakage within the aquarium itself, right? So that's like a plus, right? And normally guys, silicone expands and contracts depends on the temperature. So in warm temperatures it will expand, right? In cold temperature it will contract, Or is it that way? Yeah, right. But it expands on the contract, right? The process that is used in manufactured aquariums is somewhat different, where if it gets too warm, the 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 bonding agent between the two glass crystallizes, and that's where you get leakage within the aquarium, right? If it gets too cold, it's a possibility that it might still occur, and the holding, or should I say, the holding of the aquarium glass might give a little problem. So aquariums that are built by factory have to be kept within a specific temperature. Now it's a little bit more flexible when you use silicone, because as I said before, it contracts and it expands depending on the temperature. You don't want it to be too hot now, because if it's too hot, the silicone is going to be expanding too much until eventually you have it melting, and you can't keep it in such a warm space, right? And you can't keep it in such a cold space neither, because after a while it will just fall apart. But to me, I think that DIY aquariums, well, and grass here from my neighbor's yard, right? And it works well. But for now, guys, this is the aquarium. I should get this done in a few days, and I deliver. I don't like the corners, as usual. I don't like the corners, because the corners are normally filled with more silicones than every other section. But as I said before, this has to be done so as to ensure that the pressure for the entire space. Remember, 1 gallon of water weighs 10 pounds, and so you have to be mindful of that when building an aquarium. I prefer to go long than to go up, because when you go long, it kind of helps to distribute the water pressure throughout the entire space. You don't have one pane of glass experiencing more pressure, water pressure, than the other. Thank you for joining. Thank you for stopping. Thank you for sharing your comment. Peace out, guys. Next time. Bye-bye.